Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Little Work, Magic to Transform Your Everyday Life, by Durgadas Allon Duriel. Narrated by Daniel Henning. Publisher's Note: this audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type The Little Work into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page, then, under the Supplemental Content section, please enter the access code PEACE, and then click the Unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. All figures referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. Hafiz. Introduction. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Authorship disputed. We live in a magical world. Many of us who are drawn to magic, mysticism, or the occult know this on some level. Perhaps we've always sensed there's more to reality than meets the eye, or experienced this directly. We may not know exactly what's beyond the veil of everyday life, but we know it's not mere superstition to suspect that something's happening there. Many of us innately hunger to engage with this dimension of existence, sometimes to where disregarding the occult would feel like choosing to live blindfolded. On the wave of this yearning, we explore disciplines like ceremonial magic, psychic development, shamanism, witchcraft, and yoga. Many of us work with others who've walked the path before us, getting involved with groups, institutions, or spiritual teachers. We set ourselves to the task of joining the thousands of seekers throughout history who practiced magic in some form and experienced its reality and the awakening that accompanies parting the veil. For many of us, this process is thwarted. Not because magic isn't real, or because indescribably magnificent spiritual epiphanies and experiences aren't available to us. Rather, because life gets in the way. And by life, I mean the day-to-day realities of the human experience in much of today's world. Realities like developing a career, managing money, navigating interpersonal relationships, handling adversity, and establishing a healthy sense of self. Many of us who are drawn to metaphysics are metaphysically gifted and don't feel at home in the real world, which is unsurprising given how that world conceptualizes us. And if you're hearing this of your own initiative, you're likely a metaphysically gifted person. While we may have been medicine people or seers in previous societies, we're now relegated to the cultural periphery, and in some societies, what's considered sane. Consequently, we don't generally receive training in our gifts to become healthy, high-functioning metaphysical adults. This leads many of us to play to our strengths while underdeveloping our weaknesses, which can make metaphysical gifts feel more like curses. We may feel flooded by psychic sensations to where they muddy our sense of self, or feel like the physical world is too insubstantial for us to be effective within it. We may unintentionally attempt to avoid life's difficulties with metaphysics, using it as an escape space, crutch, or defense. This book answers that predicament. It's a manual for living in the real world, in a way that facilitates metaphysical practice. It's the product of my experience as a metaphysically gifted youth who desperately needed spiritual training and then received that training and prospered. It also integrates the best of what I've gleaned from years of experience as a psychotherapist, holistic health practitioner, and yogi. I believe you can live the magical life your heart calls for. In this book, I'll show you how. Many of us who are drawn to metaphysics feel like running away from the world, and some of us do. But even in the remotest of ashrams, our issues follow us. Wherever you go, there you are, as the saying goes. We must deal with these issues if we want to thrive and develop spiritually. What I've learned is that we needn't go anywhere to lead a magical, holy life. We can build one where we are, by mastering what I call the little work. The little work. No one ever did great things well who had not first done well with small things. Paul Foster Case. The little work is the development of life skills that enable us to function with increasing ease, such that we can devote ourselves to spiritual practice. It's a way of making ourselves the ashram. The name is a tongue-in-cheek reference to the great work, which is the pinnacle of Hermetic magic, wherein a magician abidingly realizes their divine nature. This is the enlightenment that millions of seekers have aspired toward throughout history. Aside from the rare instances where people become spontaneously enlightened, completing the great work requires many qualities, not the least of which is a sturdy foundation on the physical plane. How can we seriously hope to merge with the infinite and live to tell the tale if we struggle with tasks like paying bills on time, achieving straightforward goals, and weathering relationship difficulties? In light of this, spiritual aspirants must cultivate their minds and develop willpower. They must become emotionally fluent and proficient upon the physical plane. These tasks aren't merely supplements to the great work, though. They're a vital part of it, and they compose the heart of the little work. For healthy, deep metaphysical practice, some version of the little work is required, whether it occurs formally or informally. When it's absent, aspirants tend to encounter difficulties that bar them from the metaphysical experiences they seek. Or they have these experiences but can't healthfully integrate them into their lives. History is littered with stories of aspirants who lacked a sturdy foundation and overexerted themselves metaphysically, leading to their ruin. Alongside this, there's the more common phenomenon of aspirants whose shaky foundations prevent them from practicing consistently, rendering them more as armchair occultists. In Hermetic movements like the Golden Dawn and Thelema, the little work unfolds over a sequence of grades, wherein aspirants develop themselves to support their metaphysical practice before beginning ardent work. This development process parallels the one facilitated by the yamas and niyamas of yoga and the eightfold path of Buddhism. The 4 Golden Dawn and Thelemic grades beyond the probationary grade each correspond with an element, and aspirants are expected to balance or equilibrate the forces of these elements within themselves. These elements are the classical elements, alongside their conventional Hermetic representations in the human microcosm, i.e. air/intellect, fire/will, water/emotion and intuition, earth/physicality and materiality. Some of this equilibrating work is ethereal, but much of it is practical. In the air grade, aspirants train their intellects, refining their discernment and developing wisdom. In the fire grade, they cultivate willpower and self-discipline, learning to focus and control their actions as best they can. Emotional maturation and fluency are tasks of the water grade, as is developing psychic sensitivity. In the earth grade, aspirants pursue vitality and adeptness on the physical plane in areas like home, career, and money management. This isn't to suggest that aspirants must fully master one elemental domain before moving to another. In the original Golden Dawn, aspirants could complete the elemental grades far faster than that generally requires. The idea is to undertake a gradual, consistent process of inner alchemy and ultimately become a vessel that can complete the great work. In my experience, even when working in systems that account for the little work, aspirants often fall short if they don't give it the attention it deserves, or, as with the rapid progress possible in the original Golden Dawn, the system doesn't require that level of proficiency. One reason this can happen is that aspirants tend to crave spiritual experiences over mundane matters, which is understandable. We don't pursue occultism to learn budgeting. One of the great ironies of spiritual aspiration is that we seek the holy mysteries only to be told to sweep the floor. And in learning to sweep the floor consciously, we begin experiencing these mysteries. This brings up the first of many tenets for performing the little work. There is no such thing as the mundane. What appears mundane does so because of how we conceptualize it, which is a theme we'll revisit throughout this book. Everything is imbued with divinity, but discovering that is up to us. By changing our thinking about the mundane, we can experience its spiritual dimensions. As we increasingly recognize that nothing need be mundane for us, our entire life begins to feel spiritual. It becomes apparent that much of the great work is in the little work. What we once wrote off as mundane can eventually house some of our profoundest revelations. Another obstacle I've seen aspirants face is skimming over foundational material because it looks simple or easy, and consequently not developing in the manner intended by it. For example, by completing exercises to develop willpower a few times, but not enough for these exercises to significantly strengthen their will. Breezing through the basics sets aspirants up to falter as they advance, when these developments are needed to progress but are unavailable. This raises another tenet of the little work: master the basics, which was the first commitment I made after joining a Hermetic order in my early 20s. Though I'd practiced magic as a solitary witch for over 9 years and felt powerful during rituals, my life felt suffocating. I was at rock bottom, which was at least an annual occurrence for me, following years of abuse, dehumanization, and illness while growing up. Consequently, I resolved to surrender as fully as I could to my order's training. What did I have to lose emotionally? Years of intense suffering made me acutely aware that I didn't know how to be sustainably happy or peaceful. I also recognized that my metaphysical foundation was shaky. I often felt like half of me was across the veil, which was tearing me apart. I needed help, and I was ready to receive it. For the next 2.5 years, I hit that training with everything I had, generally spending 30 to 40 hours a week at my magic school or in practices from it. I did what I was told and strove to find whatever value I could in any ideas that seemed problematic. I started a daily spiritual practice that continues to this day, and my life dramatically transformed. In less time than I could have imagined, my life went from desperate to fulfilling, from a mess to an adventure. This isn't to suggest that everything was rosy after that. What kind of adventure would that be? But I became able to engage future challenges with an outlook of learning, faith, and compassion, which has helped me till even the most difficult of experiences for growth. I went from being someone who procrastinated constantly to someone who can simultaneously balance and achieve many goals, from being someone who underperformed at work to one who speeds to promotion. I went from being a clutterbug who cleaned his bathroom semi-annually to someone who enjoys housework and who transformed his home into a sanctuary. Most importantly, and much of this developed after leaving the school, I became someone who can feel the spectrum of emotions with fluency and weather depression and anxiety. Someone who stopped craving relationships out of low self-esteem and who can always opt to experience the undimming love and divinity within. We each come to metaphysics with individual hopes. I wanted to find peace, emotional and psychic stability, and enlightenment. So far, I found the first two, and I can't convey the richness and beauty this work has brought to my life. Your reasons are whatever they are, and you may not aspire to the great work. That's okay. To whatever degree you practice metaphysics, the little work can help you become more effective in that. Relatedly, while this book is informed and inspired by my experience in a Hermetic order, it's intended for a diverse assortment of magical practitioners, from witch to ceremonial magician and beyond. It's also geared toward all levels of practice, featuring practical skills for creating a sustainable, rich, magical life. What that life includes is up to you. Before delving into the practice side of the little work, I lay out some metaphysical basics. This is because understanding the mechanics of magic and how the metaphysical planes function, even to a limited degree, helps us practice more effectively. Exploring the basics also illuminates some of the value of the little work, as does examining why magic can fail for practitioners who don't have a handle on the little work. Additionally, we'll review some practical magical techniques that facilitate thriving on the physical plane, which in turn facilitates inner alchemy. Experienced magical practitioners may want to skim this material. I wouldn't skip it altogether, because I explore some concepts that bear on the little work that I don't often see in magic books, and understanding these concepts can make our magic far more effective. After that, we'll delve into ritual, meditation, and creating a daily practice. The remainder of the book features a journey of inner alchemy through the classical elements. Part 1. Foundations of Magic. Chapter 1. The Basis of Magic. All that which is contained in the lower world is also found in the upper, in prototype. The lower and upper reciprocally act upon each other. The Zohar. Throughout history, mystics have had visionary experiences and explored the higher planes of existence. For the betterment of mankind, some created models of reality that are like maps for guiding aspirants to these experiences. In the hands of devoted, humble aspirants, these models are up to the task. The higher planes don't follow the same operational laws as the physical plane. Some are vastly susceptible to our influence, often appearing in forms that already have meaning for us. For example, many of us have consciously shaped the dream world before, and an energy that appears to a tarot reader in tarot symbolism might manifest as a rune to a rune reader. Consequently, these models differ, sometimes significantly when filtered through religious frameworks and the imprecise mediums of language and concept. In today's world, many of these models are available for us to work with, including Jewish Kabbalah, the world tree, the Hindu lokas, and Tibetan Buddhist cosmology. My aim here is to present metaphysics in a bare-bones manner that can fit with many systems and models. Despite their differences, these models tend to agree on certain fundamentals, which compose the basis of metaphysical work. Primary among these fundamentals is the notion that everything is made of a common substance, often called energy. In Hermetic metaphysics, the universe is in a continuous process of becoming, which is paralleled in other metaphysical models. Energy begins in the undifferentiated unity of pure spirit and moves across a spectrum of vibrational frequencies into the apparent separateness of matter, only to return again. Along this spectrum, there are planes that exist at different rates of vibration. Because the physical plane has the lowest vibrational rate of these, the other planes are often called higher, which isn't to suggest that they're stacked atop each other. When two things vibrate at significantly different rates, they occupy different dimensional spaces, somewhat like how radio waves can pass through walls, although all planes interconnect and some overlap. While these concepts might seem abstract, they're actually part of our day-to-day lives. For example, our bodies and thoughts are made of energy. Because thoughts vibrate at a higher rate than matter, they lack physical form beyond neurological firing. The same is true of dreams, which occur in a higher plane of existence. The dream world doesn't cease to exist when we awaken, and the thought world doesn't cease to be when we quiet our mind. Both planes exist along the energetic spectrum, like the physical plane. There are higher planes than these too, where beings like angels and gods dwell. The Tree of Life from Kabbalah is one of the most elegant presentations of this phenomenon. I'll periodically refer to it because of its utility and central role in Hermeticism, but you needn't study Kabbalah to perform the little work. The tree of life is a symbolic diagram of existence. Energy manifests along a trajectory of 10 spheres, which are called sephiroth. Each sephira has particular qualities. 1. Keter, crown, pure, undifferentiated energy. 2. Chokmah, wisdom, the launching of this energy as undiluted force, the celestial father. 3. Bina, understanding, the first tempering of energy into form, the divine womb, the celestial mother. Keter, Chokmah, and Bina form the celestial supernal triangle, or world of emanation, known in Hebrew as Atzilut. Da'ath, knowledge, a black hole-like abyss that separates the top 3 sephiroth from the others. 4. Chesed, mercy, or loving-kindness. The matrix archetypes are built upon the structural support of the universe. 5. Gevurah, power, the disciplining force of justice that balances mercy, the purging and tempering fire. 6. Tiferet, beauty, the apex an individual consciousness can reach, where the higher and lower selves unite, the tree's central sphere that receives most others, the reconciler and redeemer. Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet form the ethical, moral triangle, or world of creation, known in Hebrew as Briah. 7. Netzach, victory, perpetuity or endurance, instincts, intuition, emotions, art, symbolism. 8. Hod, splendor, majesty, or glory, the rational mind, analysis, intellect. 9. Yesod, foundation, the subtle energy foundation that underlies matter, the collective unconscious, the subconscious mind. Netzach, Hod, and Yesod form the astral/magical triangle, or world of formation, known in Hebrew as Yetzirah. 10. Malkut, kingdom, the material universe or world of action, known in Hebrew as Asaya. Each sephira and the paths between them corresponds with tarot cards, plants, crystals, and more. Meditating on the tree can provide insight into how spirit functions, including within the polarities in life, yin and yang, dark and light, etc. The combination of tarot with the tree offers opportunities for developing wisdom. For example, the strength card connects Gevurah and Chesed, implying that true strength is found in the balance of mercy and justice. By projecting their consciousness into the cards, aspirants can enter the Sephiroth and the paths between them, which is called pathworking. Because energy manifests along a continuum of frequency from high to low, it passes through the higher planes before reaching the physical one. Consequently, whatever we create physically was first thought of, whether consciously or subconsciously, concretely or abstractly. On the surface, this is common sense, since every human-made creation began in someone's mind. Mystics discovered that there are more options when creating than simply acting on inspired thought, though, including that what we think can tangibly influence what manifests in our lives. Since energy passes through the higher planes before manifesting physically, and we can shift the content of some of these planes with our thoughts can affect physical manifestation. Amazingly, mystics around the world have demonstrated that this is true. What we create in the higher planes, usually the astral plane, which is like a blueprint for the physical one, can manifest in some fashion. Manifesting isn't as straightforward as this may sound. For example, thinking of an orange and then one materializes. But we do have tremendous power to guide and shape what comes to us. This understanding is the basis of magic, the law of attraction, yogic siddhis, etc. It's one meaning of the axiom, as above, so below. Another meaning is that the planes of existence correspond with each other. A thread of agreement exists between them, uniting reality somewhat like how instruments occupy different octaves when playing a symphony. This is apparent in astrology, which posits that the events in our lives, whether internal or external, connect with the planetary positions, relationships, and movements. Valuable information can be gleaned by recognizing the signs in the external world that correspond with our internal one. For instance, by virtue of the correspondence between planes, a tarot spread can physically reflect a query's answer. Another meaning of as above, so below is that there's something of the creator in the created, the cause in the effect. Every element across the vibrational spectrum is imbued with divinity, because everything emanates from an initial divine unity. Everything is energy, which is another tenet of the little work. The divine is equally present in the densest matter and the highest light of eternity. They differ in form, not substance. This is one reason why there's no such thing as the mundane. When we recognize that divinity is everywhere, we can experience it everywhere, which we'll learn how to do in part 2 of this book. Where we station our awareness along the energetic spectrum dramatically influences our life experience. These stationary points are called states of consciousness. Many of us know this to some degree, having experienced ourselves being in our bodies, lost in thought, overcome with emotion, or in a combination of these states. There are states of consciousness beyond the standard ones in day-to-day life, too, which open to us as we develop spiritually, including ones in which we perceive our energetic makeup. In addition to our physical body, we also have a form that's usually invisible called the subtle body. The subtle body vibrates at a higher frequency than the physical plane, though it interconnects with the physical body. As with the metaphysical models, there are different models of the subtle body, and we're each free to use the ones we resonate with. In this book, I work with the chakra system from yoga because of my experience with it and its widespread use in metaphysics. There are varying opinions about how subjective the subtle body is. In my experience, chakra work provides tangible results, whether chakras are subjective or not. Muladhara, root. Physical health, red. Svadhisthana, sacral. Sexuality, sensuality, creativity, orange. Manipura, navel. The will, our individuated self, self-esteem, self-confidence, yellow. Anahata, heart, love, relationships, community, green. Visuddha, throat, communication, self-expression, blue. Ojna, third eye, intuition, psychic vision, imagination, indigo. Sahasrara, crown, cosmic consciousness, spiritual source, purple or white and purple. Chakras are vortexes of energy that connect the subtle and physical bodies. The major chakras are aligned along the spine, ascending in rate of vibration and corresponding with various life domains. Karma, unhealthy behavioral patterns, and psychological trauma result in blockages in these chakras, which can be cleared through meditation and ritual. Yogis seek to release these blockages and abidingly raise their consciousness to the crown chakra, resulting in an enlightened state that transcends individuality. In Hermeticism, aspirants follow a parallel trajectory of ascending the tree of life during meditation, called rising on the plains. Becoming aware of the subtle body and able to consciously function within it facilitates many spiritual experiences.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?